And April says this all the time. You died that day and you came up a different man.
That's powerful.
Lazarus, that's what I call him.
Yeah.
He's my Lazarus.
There is no truer statement, because at that point, then I knew there was a purpose I was living.
Today on the Recovery Valve podcast, we have got some good friends of mine, April and Brandon McFadden. I think we go back 8 years. I think I've known you guys for maybe 8 years now. Brandon, I met you first. Mm-hmm. You were in recovery.
Yeah.
And I just recently learned that my friend April, I don't know how I didn't know this.
I don't either.
But you're in recovery.
I am.
All right. So, Brandon, how many years do you have in now?
6.
6 years in.
Yep, just hit 6 in May.
And then April?
Yes.
How many years do you have in recovery?
8. Okay. April was 8.
Did you guys meet in recovery?
Is
this a rehab romance?
This is.
Not quite.
This is everything they say not to do.
It is what they say not to do, but it's not quite rehab.
Where did we
was
meet?
Definitely not in rehab.
Where did we meet?
An AA convention.
A convention.
A convention.
So I don't know how you can't call it that.
But we were like both almost a year at that point.
We were.
Okay, then that's okay.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were both like 9 months, like 9 months.
We were deep into like step work. And,
yes.
And we had sponsors who knew and were cool with it. So we were, I mean, we weren't
super
like,
crazy about it.
They weren't. I mean, they wanted us to hit that year, but we just.
Yeah, there's a certain element to sponsorship where they want you to hit that milestone marker of a year.
Nothing serious.
Like, don't get a plant, don't get a pet, don't get a spouse.
Yes.
Right.
Don't quit smoking.
Right. Do nothing in the first year.
Right. And at this convention, you found this beautiful man-child over here beside you.
She found me months before that.
She
was just scared to come say something.
He found me months before that.
Okay. I did.
He found me months before that.
If we're telling the truth, I did. All right. I remember that meeting too.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit. Before that meeting, what was life like in your world? What was your drug of choice? What got you to a place of addiction?
There's such a gray area in that time because there was, recreational, especially through high school and going off into college, coming back from college, getting kicked out of college. But I can't really pinpoint a time to where, I was like, man, this may be an issue because I was surrounded by it.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. It was at my neighbor's house, at my friend's house around the corner. In college, I mean, it's everywhere. So it never really dawned on me until, once I started to realize, the sickness kicked in. And I was like, you know what, well, and then, but still in the same sentence, all my friends were going through it too. So we were like, hey, man, let's go get another one. And it was just like an ongoing daily thing that just turned into, it just spiraled out of control.
What's another one? Another one of what?
Roxy's.
Roxy's, that was your thing?
Percocet.
What age were you when you first tried a drug of any kind?
15. Yeah, 15? I smoked pot when I was 15.
Seems like everybody I talk to, especially guys,
yeah,
it's like 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Middle school.
I think it's like a status,
Wanting to fit in?
Yeah, especially in high school. All of my close friends were doing it. I mean, we were such a tight-knit group that you didn't want to be the oddball. And I mean, we trusted each other, essentially. We were all together. It was a weekend thing. It was just fun. I think we never really thought of the consequences down the road. We were just living in the moment. This is high school. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Let's live it up. That's just what we did.
Yeah.
It's just, looking back at it now, I'm like, man, that was the start of a terrible, spiraling out of control addiction.
We didn't know when we were doing what we thought we were supposed to that we were wired to be addicts.
Yeah.
This would take over our life later on,
Yeah.
How about Miss April?
I should have known from the very first time that I ever did anything because I got drunk, took a pill, smoked pot, and kissed a boy all in the same night for the very first time when I was 14 years old.
What was his name?
Austin.
Oh, he's...
But he was like my very long-term boyfriend. Like I dated him all throughout high school. I dated him after high school, basically until I was like 20 years old. So from 14 to 20.
So your first time ever trying anything was probably around 14?
14. And it was every single one of those things all in the same night. So I should have known from the jump that I had an addictive personality, but that's not ever something that you think about.
So did you just continue to try these different things with Austin, or did you find yourself doing it with your friends too? Or
I mean, all of that happened at a party, and then after that party I smoked pot every single day after that. And then after high school, it was like pills. And I mean, so I drank all throughout high school and smoked pot, but it was pot every single day and then drinking on the weekends. At some point, pills just are what took over. And then I knew that I had a problem when I was like going to rehab and eating fentanyl patches.
Eating fentanyl
I would chew
patches?
on them, yes. So I would get like 80 milligram fentanyl patches and cut them into small pieces and like chew on them all day long.
Like gum.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
I've been arrested 3 times by the time I was 21 years old.
Did you know all this?
We got
Yes.
sober like days apart.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And I
Not
was-
knowing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was doing great and started a new job, and we were very open and honest. And then we would talk step work and we would talk recovery on the phone at night. And
Well, we were really good friends. Like, it was
Yeah,
a
it took a
friendship.
while.
Like, we built
It
a
did.
solid friendship before, not for his lack of trying, but I mean, he asked me out every single. He asked me out every single night on the phone for months, and
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I'll be your friend. We can hang out. We can be friends." But I'm absolutely not wanting anything to do with a relationship because I had just gotten divorced a few months before I got sober.
Okay.
I went to rehab when I was 21, met a boy in rehab, and then we got married shortly after that.
Gotcha.
I got pregnant, then we got married.
Gotcha. Wow, you're telling me things that I just didn't know. So we talk about, the dark side of addiction, and then we talk about, all these things we've done. And I don't want to have to dig up the past because it's just, it's not fun to talk about. We all have a past, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to spill your guts here, but what do you feel like your lowest point was in your addiction?
so, you think you hurt people through addiction, right? You hurt people. You don't think the selfishness part of it would say, hey, I'm hurting myself. Why do you even care? Just stay out of it. Let me do what I need to do. But I never knew the pain that I caused other people, and just like the terror I caused the most important people in my life, until the day that I overdosed. And still to this day, the chain of reaction, how it happened, waking up, not knowing what's going on, with surrounded by EMTs and firefighters, and seeing my wife, my mom, and my dad, and seeing all their faces. I don't remember much from that day, but I do remember seeing their faces, and my mom having that needle in her hand saying, what's in this needle?
Oh, wow.
And because they just didn't know. And 15 years of addiction was balled up into that one moment of my life. And I seen all the hurt I've done to people, and I seen the disappointment, and I seen the anger I was causing, and it was just right in front of my face. I mean, there was no getting out of that. It was, this is real. This has happened. This is what you have done.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just my lowest of my lowest, but one of the biggest blessings in my life to this day, to be able to witness that and to go through that. And I'm thankful for it because, I think that was God, just showing me like, hey, look, other people care, and this is what you're doing to them. Not only to yourself, but others. And they do love you, and they do care about you. And like, I use it for his glory now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just, it made it so real. And April says this all the time. You died that day and you came up a different man. And
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Lazarus, that's what I call him.
Yeah.
He's
And
my Lazarus.
there is no truer statement, because at that point, then I knew there was a purpose I was living.
Yeah, one thing you said when you started telling that story is that you don't remember what they said, but you remember they were there. That's something we're taught in kind of church work, especially when it comes to being present for people who lose somebody
Yeah.
when they pass away, is that you will never say the perfect thing, but just being present. There's something to that.
Yeah.
And so how about you? What was the lowest point? And then we're going to move on to the good side.
So I had gotten sober, like went to rehab, gotten sober. I was married for a little while. I had 2 kids at that point, and then everybody around me, including myself, was saying, I think it was just the drugs and I think I can drink again. So I started drinking again, and then I got divorced and I moved here. My kids would leave every other weekend. I had to drive them to go be away from me, and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I would drink into like oblivion. I went and visited my brother in Statesboro, and I was blackout drunk. I called my parents because I didn't really know where I was. They said they were going to come get me. I told them I was downtown Augusta. I was not. I was in Statesboro, but insisted that I was somewhere in Augusta. They came and picked me up, and I was like, this is how people lose their kids. Because I'm driving around Statesboro drunk, don't know don't know where I am. And I was like, this is how mothers lose their children and never get them back.
Yep.
And I was
You're
like,
exactly
I
right.
won't be that person. Because I had been in many rooms where they told stories about, I lost my kids and I'm just trying to get them back. And I was like, I will never be that person. And so that happened on a Sunday. Like, I remember that whole car ride home, and I was like, this is how people lose their kids, and I won't be that person. And the next morning I went to a counseling, like I made a counseling session, and I went to an AA meeting, and I've been sober since.
That's awesome. So that's your lowest point. Let's talk about your highest point. You guys, you've been married how long now?
6 years.
Been married 6 years. So you relapsed close to the time that you got married.
1 month after marriage.
And I was pregnant at the time.
Yep. 21 weeks.
You know what I just remembered? Do you know what I just remembered? I married you people.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. You married
did.
us. You sure did.
Y'all got married right here.
Yes.
How about that? I'm
Full
getting
circle.
old. I mean, I just,
Yeah.
I married you guys.
You did.
You did.
And so you relapsed a month after that.
A month after. Yep.
So, all right, I'm so glad I remembered that. So you guys got married. I married you, and
And I was doing well
yeah,
up until right around that time. I was switching jobs, and I freaking took a drug test for my new job, and I was like, oh yeah, I can go back.
I can go do drugs
I can
again.
do it a little bit and then go to this new job. And what an idiot.
did it cause a lot of rift? Did your marriage almost not make it?
I was expecting it.
No,
to
you
fail.
begged me.
Yeah.
After the overdose, we were in the hospital, and you were like, please leave. Like, please leave me.
Yeah.
You're like, you have every right to. I don't want this for you. I don't want this for our children.
Yeah. I think I'd seen what the boys had gone through with their family and father, and like I said, everything had come to a full circle for me and my addiction, that I was just so tired of seeing people I love be hurt by my actions. And I knew what she had already gone through.
And that was what I said when
Yeah.
we first got together. I was like, if you ever relapse, I am out, because I'm not doing this to my children again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will never do this again.
You know, who could blame her? We're a month in.
right.
And I was thinking about this at work today. Like, she is like a worry wart sometimes about like some simple things in life, but like
Yeah, my anxiety has
traumatic
anxiety.
instances in life, she's like 100% faith. And I'm like, you know, it's just a testament to who she is, really, because she had faith and she believed even when I didn't, you know?
Yeah,
And when I gave her every reason and every, you know, word to like just go, like, I'm sorry, just take off and go. And she didn't. She, thank God, you know, because she's been my rock. But everyone was telling her to leave.
Oh,
She
yeah, they
didn't.
were like, you can get a prenup. You've not, I mean,
prenup?
Prenup.
I mean,
I didn't have no money.
no, the other, what is it called? It's something. It's
Prenuptial?
something.
Annulment?
Annulment.
Yes,
That's it,
that's
yeah.
it. Yes, that's it. Annulment.
quit talking to people.
Everyone was saying that. They were like, no, people were coming to me and saying, you need to get an annulment. You haven't even been married this long. Like, this
So-
is clearly not going to work out.
Why did it work?
God.
This guy
It
thing?
wasn't a Brandon thing. It wasn't a me thing. It was a God thing. God was like, the man that died, the man that you saw on that floor dead, is not the man that he is anymore. And he hasn't been since that day. He's
good.
He's not the same person that he was.
That's good. You guys have been married now for that 6-year mark. How is your marriage today? Like, how are things going?
It sounds so cliche. It's everything I've ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Now, let me put it this way. I've never dreamed anything that's this good.
If I could go back and tell myself that it was going to be like it is, I wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wouldn't. If I could go back and tell myself this in the hospital room when all of this was going on. Because I was always praying for that, especially being married and divorced. Like, I always prayed for that. But if the prayers that I was praying back then would have come true, I would have sold our relationship short. I would have sold God short in so many ways. Because it's better.
I mean, we definitely have our times, but I will say this. As time grows for us and in recovery, and as we grow closer to the Lord and as we grow closer together, it's only gotten better.
That's great.
It's only gotten better. Now that, like I said, we have our ups and downs, and we have our, our valleys and our hills, but
You're going to have those hard conversations.
Absolutely. But they're getting easier to have, and we've learned throughout the years how to have them. Have those conversations. I give a lot of credit to that to a pastor I had in rehab called Pastor Mike. He just guided us through so many things in life and through early recovery for me, essentially, and through our marriage. And I'd always, thought of Christians in a certain way.
Yeah.
And he completely retrained my mind into what a Christian was and how we should live. And I never seen that in anyone. But like I said, I still had that wall up, and then the selfishness in me and my ego still wanted to hold on a little bit, and I never, and looking back, I'm like, I never fully surrendered to God's will for me, essentially. When I woke up, I knew I had a purpose and a reason. I said, you can have it. You got me. Whatever it is I need to do, tell me and I'll do it. And I just had that mentality the whole time.
That's the mentality it takes, too.
Yeah. Since absolutely. It's like my life is just, it's yours. Do with me as you want, I'll just be a vessel.
Yeah, that's really good. It takes a lot of people a long time to figure that out.
Yeah.
Hey guys, before we get back to this episode, I want to take a second and thank the team over at GoldMec. GoldMec has been around the CSRA for a long time, and they serve the industrial, commercial, residential areas of plumbing and HVAC. And so I just want to take a second and say thank you so much to that team for your sponsorship to the Recovery Valve podcast. Found each other in recovery. You stayed together through a relapse. You lived through recovery. You battled through a slip-up and addiction. You stayed together. You got to this point where you are now. And that's a powerful story. And people need to hear that they can make their marriage work even when you deal with something as hard as a relapse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
We talked about this book, and I know it's like a selfish little pitch, but, I asked you guys to kind of read through the book a few months back when I was working on this project. When you did read through it, did anything jump out that you would say, I wish I'd have known this at the time of the relapse, or I wish I'd have known this at the time we started dating 9 months into recovery?
Yes, I wish that we had this during the relapse. After the relapse, it would have been...
She would be in the chair. Well, we got another one on.
I mean, it's very relatable. I remember, reading it now is probably might be better than reading it back then, because it brought me back to that point.
I've heard that a couple times.
Yes.
Like people, you have to relive things.
Yes, it brought me back, and I was like, I remember feeling XYZ, and I these questions would have been helpful if it was something that we could have done together at the time, or I could have related more to what he was going through.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a chapter, and then you have questions, and you both answer the questions, kind of thing.
I mean, there was Christ-centered marriage books, but nothing for really the marriage of addicts.
Yes.
there was nothing for us back then.
This is not a sales pitch. This is just letting people know that there is a tool out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a simple, practical tool that you can go through, and it does. It explains who the addict is, helps you understand that you're still an addict, and we have to continue working on things from communication to sex life to letting laughter return to the marriage is a big deal, because once you open up the door where you can make her laugh, you've gained trust back, and it opens the door for certain conversations to happen that you probably buried for a while. In those moments at nighttime when the kids are down and things like that. So I really appreciate you guys going through that.
So I read this quote like a month ago, and it just changed the way that I think about parenting. And you kind of touched
Quote
on...
I said?
No.
Oh.
No. A quote by someone. But it changed the way... I don't know if you've heard it, but it changed the way that I think about things because I worry. And you mentioned how I'm such a worrier. And then we have this, both of us have this addiction thing that goes on. And so I'm scared all the time for my kids. I like worry myself sick about like what if they are like us or whatever. And I used to kind of joke that we weren't ever saving for college, that we were saving for rehab, because I just knew that one of them was destined to go.
It's terrible.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's just the way that I like. I'm just that's
Your
just the way that
anxiety,
I, yes,
like you
yes,
said a minute ago.
Yeah.
yes, okay. But then I heard this quote, and it has somewhat chilled me out a little bit. You can't protect your children from their testimony. And like, I mean, it has like shaken me. And Palmer and I were in the car, our oldest, talking about I don't even remember how it came up, but he was talking about things and asking me questions. And I said that quote to him, and it just, I'm telling you, it like has shaken me and like rocked me to my core, because it's so true. And like our children have been through so much in their little bitty lives. And I just know that God has them here and has let them go through, allowed the things that have happened in their lives already
Yeah.
to be able to help somebody one day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's part of their testimony. And that's what I was telling Palmer, is like, you've been through some rough things, and like you're going to continue to go through some rough things, and we can't protect you from your testimony.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for coming on this podcast and just sharing your testimony. I know it's hard. I know that you were nervous coming in here, but you did a fantastic job. You did exactly what you needed to do. And I'll say this, and I've said it a couple of times, there's going to be somebody that hears this and they're going to relate to it, and you may change somebody's life with your story. So just be proud of this moment. Be proud of where you were and that you're not there anymore, but also just be proud of how far you've come in 6 years.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today's episode of Recovery Valve Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you would like to connect with us, you can connect with us through email at recoveryvalve@gmail.com, our website, recoveryvalve.com, or you can find us on our different social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. But we would love for you to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to pre-order a copy of my book, Marriage After Addiction, Take Back Your Life Together, you can do that through the store at exomarriage.com, or you'll see a link on any of our social media platforms. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Recovery Valve Podcast is brought to you by Goldmec, Newsom Electric, S&S Supplies, Carpet Cleaning Pros of Augusta, Rhett Walker, Atlas Health and Wellness, Norval Fixture and Equipment, Augusta Lawn and Turf, the Augusta Dream Center, Bagwell Insurance, Sally Kohler Photography, Burroughs Elijah Attorneys, Communigraphics, Kendra Neal Studio, Kendrick Paint and Body, Coleman Construction, Augusta Magazine, State Farm Insurance, Craig International. And I want to say thanks to everyone else who's contributed to the Recovery Valve Podcast. We couldn't do this without you.